Hello ladies, welcome to my GelMoment application video. As you will see, this is a very easy process and easy polish to apply. There's no need for a base coat, no need for a top coat unless you are wanting to add a sparkle or matte effect. I will go over top coats in a later video. I wanted to just kind of demonstrate how easy it is to put on and do your nails and wow you guys with it, because I think you will be wowed. I certainly was. It's so fantastic. The thing that's great about GelMoment is it's non-toxic, so that means it's safe for young children to use as long as, of course, they're supervised. I wouldn't let a 3-year-old do their own nails because it could be quite a nightmare, as I'm sure many parents out there would agree. It's also lead-free, it's vegan-friendly, it's gluten-free, it's latex-free, so it has a lot of really great qualities about it, and it cures in 45 to 60 seconds. Now here are all the items that I need to properly apply my GelMoment polish correctly. I have my light. This is an LED light, and it is GelMoment. They make their lights specifically for our polish. So the photo activators in the polish that causes them to cure are specifically set to be cured with a certain wattage of LED light and for a certain length of time. There's a common question that comes up about lights, and we always recommend it is best to use a GelMoment light because it can either undercure or overcure and make the polish either not last as long or make the polish impossible to remove. So I will go over this a bit more when I talk about the lamps in the future, in a future video, sorry. I also have a GelMoment polish. This one is Beauty Queen. It's a really pretty pink. I thought I would demonstrate tonight. I have a cuticle pusher, and it has a square end and it has a pointed end to it. And then I have a professional nail file. It has the file side, and then it also has a gray buffing side. These files come in 2 different sizes. This is our full length file, and then we also offer a mini file, which is great for carrying and travel. It's good to throw in a purse, that kind of thing. So if you're looking for a good file, these are perfect for that. And then last but not least, I have a GelMoment cleansing pad. They come in packages of 50 and are included in all kits. I will discuss kits in a later video. So let's get started. My nails, I tend to keep them quite short, so I'm not going to spend any time shaping them this evening just because they're already pretty short. If I was to shape them, I would make sure, using the file side, that I was only going in one direction and always picking the file up and removing it before going back. You don't want to do that back and forth sawing motion because that's going to cause little tears and rips in your nail, and that's going to decrease their strength and health, and you don't want that. You want your nails to be strong and structurally sound. So that's my little tip for that. Next, I'm just gonna paint my middle finger and my ring finger in this case for time's sake. I'm going to use the square end of my cuticle pusher, and I'm just going to gently push that skin that grows onto your cuticle back. The reason we're doing this is because as your nail grows out, that skin's gonna grow with it, and if there's any polish on there, it's gonna pull the polish and it's gonna cause it to lift and peel, and it's gonna make your manicure look not as nice, obviously, and it's also going to decrease the length that your polish will actually stay. So once I push back, I then flip the cuticle pusher over, and I just like to go around and in between the nail bed and the nail, make sure on the side that there's no dry skin or any old polish or anything like that left behind. I'm gonna then move on to the next finger, do the same thing. Now I am working on my right hand. I am normally right-handed, but because I already had my nails done on my non-dominant hand, I am demonstrating on my right. So I may not be as ambidextrous as I would like to be, but I'm gonna try and demonstrate as best I can. After that, I'm then going to take the gray side of my file and I'm going to buff. Now, when you buff, you only want to buff for a quick second or two, just to get the nail oil removed and to kind of make the nail a little bit coarser and easier for the polish to adhere to your nail plate. So you just take it and you do the sides as well, and the end. And then of course you want to make sure that you do the tip of your nail. So just like that, you just want to kind of buff it up a bit. You don't ever want it to be shiny because that means it's over buffed. Then I'm going to take my nail cleansing pad, and I'm actually having one that's open, but I will tear it along the dotted line and pull out my pad. Of course, it should be moist. This one is. I'm going to take it and I'm going to do a really good wipe. Now, as you can see, I pulled it out of a folded package, and that's what I do when I'm done with my wiping pad or my cleanser pad. I just put it back into my little package and fold it up, and then it stays moist for when I'm working to do other nails, or if I make a skin or get polish on my skin. Sorry, I can't talk this evening. Get polish on my skin, then I can just wipe it off. So then I just stick it back in there, fold it over, and it's ready for another use. So generally I only use one cleaning pad per manicure, which is great because that means out of a box of 50, you're gonna get 50 manicures from that. Next, I'm going to take my polish. Now the thing with the polish is you want to roll it gently between your hands. You don't ever want to shake your polish. If you shake your polish, then you're gonna get air bubbles in there, and that's gonna make it a real nightmare to work with. I want to say too, the way that GelMoment works is that it bonds directly to your nail plate, and that's what lets it last for up to 14 days, and in some cases even longer. So you want to make sure that you're not, after you've cleansed, you're not going and touching your nail, because that's going to just put oil back on, and oil is, when you think of oil and water, they separate, and it's the same thing here. If there is anything in between the nail, any oils or anything like that, it's going to cause that polish to separate and not stick to the nail. So I'm going to take a very small amount. You want to take as much polish off the edge as you can. You want it to look fairly thin when you put it on. I start just a little bit behind the cuticle, and then I push back and pull it lengthwise. It should be an extremely thin layer, because the thinner the layer, the better it's going to cure. If it's too thick, it's not going to cure properly, and it's not going to dry underneath, and that's when you'll get bubbling and peeling. So make sure you're applying in thin layers. For my last step for applying is I actually want to cap my nail. Capping is super important because it actually seals off the polish, or seals off the nail. So that's going to prevent things like dish soap and oils and everything that you encounter, any liquids you encounter in your day-to-day life, from getting underneath your nail. Now I like to do it like this, but when it's short, your nails are short, it can be tougher. If I do happen to get some polish on my skin, I just wipe it off right away. The other way you can cap is, if your nails are short, is to actually put the brush on the edge and just sort of shimmy the polish over. Shimmy, it's a good word. And that will also cap it. So that's a cute little trick that I find will work if your nails are short and you don't want to get polish on your skin. And then of course, after I cap, I just make sure that I go and smooth it out. Now our polish is self-settling, so I always recommend capping for the last bit, because as it self-settles, it will cause a little bit of shrinkage. And when it shrinks up a little bit, then it can pull the polish off your cap. You may actually notice this too with the cuticle. If it's starting to pull away from the cuticle too quickly, then try only doing maybe one finger at a time. Especially when you're starting out and just getting used to the polish, it's good to kind of work at a slower pace. So I'm just painting this other nail, same as I did before, and I will just cap using my little trick. Now the great thing about this polish is that as long as it hasn't been cured, it wipes off super easy. So if you happen to get any polish underneath, like I did here, I just go, oops, sorry, I'll have to fix that. go and wipe it off with my nail, and then we're good to go, or I will use the cleaner pad. Just gonna fix that little bobble I made. Like I said, this isn't my dominant, or I'm working on my dominant hand, so I'm not as good at it as normal. I'm going to then make sure that my polish is in behind my lamp. And the reason you want it to be in behind your lamp is because the polish actually can cure, and you don't want it to cure when it's in the bottle. It's gonna make it thick and sticky and hard to work with. And of course, it's a waste of money because it's not going to be as good of a product as it was when it isn't cured. So make sure that your polish is always out of any direct light, and so even sunlight can cure it. I've put polish on sitting in a window or out on a deck in the summer, and it's actually caused it to semi-dry, not completely cure, but semi-dry as I'm working. So it's always a good thing to make sure that you're keeping it out of direct light and away from your lamp, and that will all increase the polish's longevity. So we're just about done with this. Normally I would not touch my nails, but because I want to show you that it's dry, I am going to wipe and demonstrate. It's pretty amazing. And we'll just do another coat. I find with most polishes, 2 thin coats is actually good enough. Some of the sparkle polishes, though, you do need to be a little bit more generous, so I will do like 3 or 4 really thin coats. Same thing with this now too, is you want to make sure that you're capping with your second coat. And smoothing out. If you do happen to get a little air bubble, you just keep pulling, and I find that it generally will eventually work its way off. And I'm just gonna move that out of the way a bit. Do this one. Perfect. I'm just gonna pop that under the light. Like I said, making sure my polish is in behind it so it is not actually curing. When you put your hands in the light, you wanna make sure that you have your hand underneath the light before you turn it on. You wanna make sure that your hand is laying flat. It's not tipping upwards or tipping down. You want it to be nice and flat, not rounded to the side or anything like that, because then the light is gonna actually hit the nail, and that's when you want it to cure properly, or it's gonna help cure it properly. So you make sure that your hand is flat, that it's not tipping up, not tipping down, and not turned to the side, and that will ensure that your nails dry properly. Once this is done, I will show you, and that will be the end of the polish application video. Thanks so much for watching and tuning in, but as you can see, it's completely dry and it's ready to go. No polish on any of these fingers. It's perfect. And it's salon quality, and it should last up to 14 days. In fact, many times you can get it to last for 3 weeks. So talk to you later and see you in the next video.